First thing, I want to go to Geek Town for a moment, just to put something in perspective of a thing I've come to this floor since January, talking about inflation. Now, how many of you remember the discussions we were all having, actually it was being more had at us, that inflation was transitory? And now we sort of apologize, the Federal Reserve, the Treasury Secretary Yellen, hopefully the White House, so the White House seems to be disconnected from reality, that it's not transitory. If you saw the numbers that came out last Thursday, Friday, we have something called structural. What does that mean to anyone? Does this place even care to understand? So first, let's do the first bit of geeky. When you hear a discussion that the yield curve is inverted, how many of you immediately reach over to your television and go, oh God, I have the wrong channel on, and turn it off? It's not that complicated. It's a way of people using big words to try to sound smart. Inverted yield curve just means, hey, I expect over the next 2 years to have higher inflation, so the value of my dollar goes down faster than I do over the 10 years. That means if I buy a 10-year bond, I might be willing to take an interest rate here, but I expect inflation to be so high in the next 2 years, I want a higher interest rate. Because theoretically, it's real simple. When things take longer, you should have more risk and therefore want a higher interest rate. Why is this important to a conversation on the floor of the House? Go look on your favorite financial website right now. The 2 years has a higher interest rate than the 10-year. The 5 years has a higher interest rate than a 10-year. The 7-year has a higher interest rate than the 10-year. That is the markets telling you that they expect inflation to be with us for years. You also saw in the inflation report we received last week, you saw my brothers and sisters on the left, hey, energy prices are down, yay! Oh, why is the core inflation so high? Congratulations, you did it. Functionally 30 years of substantial stability in inflation, and we got ourselves a wage price spiral. We dumped so much money in functionally March 2001, so much money into the economy that it set off what's called a wage price spiral. Wages go up, you got to raise your prices. Well, if you raise your prices, you got to pay your workers more. Well, if you pay your workers more, you got to raise your prices. What happens when that becomes embedded into the structure of the economy and energy goes up and down? And you know, how many of our friends on the left keep saying, well, it's Ukraine. Of course, if you remove energy prices, you still have inflation built into the core. This is really, really horrible, dangerous, brutal. Does anyone here give a damn about poor people? Does anyone here care about the working middle class? Does anyone care about people trying to retire? You got to understand the brutality. Because where's that money go?